Yo, party people, welcome to Single Woman Chronicles podcast, where being single is a beautiful choice rather than a miserable circumstance. Yes, I am Ashley, guys. This is
Brittany L. Smith.
my beautiful co-host. I am the editor, creator of SingleWomanChronicles.com. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am Ashley's best friend, number one. And I am also an actor. So watch my stuff.
Tell them where to watch your stuff. Let's jump in it.
I'm in Sweet Magnolias on Netflix. Season 1
Pew, pew,
is
pew, pew.
out now. Season 2 is right around the corner. And for those of you who watch the show, no, I can't tell you who's in the car. If you want to know what I mean, watch season 1.
The show. It's on Netflix.
Yes.
So period poo. All right. So let's get back into it. So for those who have been following me for a while, I have done a few podcasts. And most my podcasts, my co-hosts were men, because I felt that I needed a male's point of view to balance me out so women can get both sides. And so then when I was making my business plan, revisiting my business plan, and I decided to draw up my mission statement, I realized that, sis, your mission ain't to help women end up in a relationship. That's wonderful, fine, great, dandy. But my mission is to help women heal and be their best selves. Because the issue is society makes women feel like if you're not in a relationship, then your life is ruined. So you're either in a relationship or you're in a holding pattern where you're waiting to be in another relationship.
Or if society tells it you're in a relationship or your life sucks and has no meaning.
Exactly. And so I want women to understand that that is not true. That's why my slogan is being single is a beautiful choice rather than a miserable circumstance, because you can choose to be alone rather than to deal with crap, drama, trauma, toxicity in a relationship. Because unfortunately, we have romanticized toxicity. So everyone feels like you're either in a being in a relationship is the answer to your unhappiness. And that is not true. There's a lot of unhappy people married,
dating, having children with y'all, and y'all just miserable.
And so I want you to understand that single is an option. Like, you do know you don't have to go through that, right? Like you don't have to go through that. So I'm just real quick. The people who are watching me on this video over here, I have 2 cameras up. So I'm gonna holler at my folks who are on TikTok live with me. Hey y'all. So I'm on TikTok live, but I'm also recording here.
Am I on TikTok live? This is my first time on TikTok.
Yes, girl. I don't really know how to work TikTok. It, but I'm out here. So yeah, I'm hollering at them, but I'm looking at 2 cameras. So I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm sorry. I just have this camera over here because this is my first episode of my podcast. So yeah, that's what y'all are watching. So thank you for joining. All right. Hopefully you listen in. So I said all that to lead into today's topic. Today we want to talk about a very important topic of being single, and we're going to talk about self-love. All right. You feels me? So self-love, contrary to popular belief, is ugly. It's a very ugly, disgusting ghetto journey. All right. You feel me? You with me? And I'm going to explain. Before I explain, we have to jump into our sponsors, because we sponsored out here, okay? Be with me while I try to read this paper, okay?
Go reading. You can do it.
I know how to read. All right. Dating in Atlanta is ghetto, but Ariana has not given up. She has been desperately chasing love and tripping over her feet every step of the way. After her ex ghosted her and popped up on Instagram in a whole new relationship, a few weeks later, Ariana feels like she may be doomed to be single forever. She finally meets a man who she thinks will catch her, but will she fall into his arms or get caught in his lies? Find out in the jaw-dropping fiction series, Single Woman Chronicles, an Atlanta Love Story Kinda. Part 1 is available on Google Play Books, y'all, for free. You heard me. Yes, I said free. Go to Google Playbooks right now and type it in, and it's gonna be free. And the cover gonna look like this. It's gonna look like this. It's gonna look like this. It's gonna look like this. Okay.
That's part 1.
That is part 1. And part 1 is also available on Audibles. Yes, I said Audibles. If you don't really like reading like that, go ahead and cop that thing on Audibles for sure. And both books are available on Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes and Nobles. Get into it. Get into it. All right, we got to get into it. Please. Okay. So when I talk about things, I like to define them so we can get a groundwork. So the definition of self-love that I found on Google, as well as what is it, Merriam-Webster? Yes. Self-love is regard for one's well-being and happiness. It's also an appreciation for one's own worth and virtue, and it's pride in oneself.
Oh, that's a lot.
So self-love is basically when you're focused on your happiness and you're focused on your well-being.
Well, yeah, let's take a look at because no, what you said before, was it happiness?
Yes, well-being and happiness.
Yeah, that part, well-being, because I feel like
well-being.
There's just so much in there that people just don't focus on, like well-being, because people think being well, just because I'm in a relationship or I'm not a hater or this, that, and the third, that I'm great, I'm wonderful. No,
but so let me take it here. So I feel like a lot of people think self-love is looking pretty, going to do everything you like to do. Like if you like to get your nails done, go get a massage, buy yourself that car, buy yourself that house. That's fine and nice.
Those are all important
those
things to
are
do.
all
you need
great
to do
things.
Those things. Do things that make you happy.
But
take care of yourself.
Don't necessarily mean you love yourself.
That does not mean you love yourself.
It don't. It does not. Because here's the thing. I feel like people get happiness and gratification mixed up. Happiness is an emotion. It's internal. It's something you feel when you I'm thinking more joy, but it's just like you feeling yourself. Gratification is something you get when you fulfill a desire. But the issue is not every desire is a healthy desire. You can desire to get high on crack cocaine. That does not mean that crack cocaine is a healthy desire, but you can be gratified by that. That does not mean that you are happy.
That's true. But also and I want to be clear when people talk about happiness, because happiness is a feeling.
Yes.
Feelings do lie sometimes.
Feelings be lying.
They do. And happiness sometimes don't last always. Because you can get to the point where you do have self-love, you do care about yourself, you do know yourself and very healthy and are very well, and still have a bad day and still feel like I look like unattractive. I don't feel my best. I don't feel like going to the gym. I've eaten all this food, whatever, but still have self-love for yourself. So we want to make sure that even though we say happy, we mean like fullness and wholeness and wellness and contentment in yourself, regardless of circumstances, versus I'm just going to go out, do whatever I want to do to cover up the pain of something else. Because that's a lot of things that we do. And especially as women, I'm saying that because I've been there and have done it many a time myself. Lie to ourselves and be like, oh, I'm fine. I'm just going to go do this, and this. So I don't have to work on or pay attention to that, and that.
Yes. You better preach. That's why I got on here. She love herself. We love ourselves. I do. But the journey was long and we're going to get into it. But piggybacking on what she said, I have my master's in positive psychology, which is basically the study of positive emotions. Instead of studying why something is going wrong, positive psychology studies what is working correctly and who's getting it right. So I did a class called The Study of Happiness, and it talked about how people who are joyful and happy, they don't always have happy moments, because you can't always be happy and produce a happy life, because you're going to need anger. For example, if someone passes away, you're not going to be in a funeral laughing.
Sometimes they do, because that's how people process things.
Right.
But we're saying it's
not going to be beneficial, because really, so, Or if you do bad on a project that you really cared about, you're passionate about, you're going to be upset and sad because you're going to use that sadness to go and do better. So you need negative emotions in order to make life great as well. So you have to understand, that's why we get into this whole self-love is ugly, because in order to love yourself, again, you got to care about your well-being. And caring about your well-being means you're going to have to tell yourself no a lot. And you're going to have to be disciplined a lot.
You are.
A whole lot. The last thing I'm going to say before we jump into our personal journeys is Will Smith has this thing where I love how he expresses the way he loves himself, because he says, I love myself too much too. So he'll say something like, I really want to eat that whole chocolate cake, but I love myself too much to let go of my long-term goals for this short-term instant gratification of eating this cake, because I know it's going to eliminate all the hard work I just did in the gym for the past few weeks. Or I love myself too much to go back into this relationship with this guy who I know doesn't value me, but I know he makes me feel comfortable. He answers when I call, but he's never going to give me what I truly, truly need. But it's uncomfortable to just be by myself or to choose a better guy. So I love myself too much to go back there.
Right.
And you see what I'm saying?
What she's talking about, like telling yourself no and being disciplined, is not telling yourself no so that you don't have any fun, you don't have any people in your life, you don't have any experiences. It's telling yourself no so that I can have something greater. Am I gonna go back to this ex who I know doesn't like me? Because sometimes people be in relationships with folks that don't like them. That's real. I don't know how. I'm saying I've been there too. I know, that's how I'm talking on it. But you're telling
why
yourself,
y'all together? You don't even like him.
Listen, okay.
You don't even like her.
It's telling yourself, no, I'm not going to entertain something that's less than the bar that I set for myself. No, I'm not going to entertain something that belittles me or degrades me or is not on the level that I feel like I deserve respect and love and gratitude and appreciation. Oh, no, I'm not going to do this. And I'm going to have the discipline to wait out until I get that fulfillment from that person that is going to be a compliment to my life, my journey, well-being,
everything. And yeah, so I want to jump into our personal journeys of self-love. So Brittany, tell me a little bit about your personal journey to self-love.
You have to be more specific. That's a lot. We don't have that kind of time for one question. Well, it all started back in.
It all started in 1980.
Right.
Well, I'll start first so you can kind of see where we're going to go with.
Okay. And I'm going to comment because I know stuff.
My journey was self-love. So growing up, I was bullied. When I was in elementary school, I was bullied a little in middle school as well. I was very awkward, nerdy. Because I always been smart, but I hid my smart once I got to like high school, because I felt like looks were more important than being smart. So I kind of like hid it, because I literally would do people's homework in like elementary school. Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes, like, because I told you I was getting bullied and I wanted people to like me. So I would like offer to like do their homework or just so I could fit in, because I really, but I was innocent and I felt like I was just trying to find my way. But then I've come from a household where my mom's a single mom. She never had a background of her parents telling her they love her, she's beautiful, she's smart, no encouragement. So I didn't get any encouragement. But I had this internal motivation that always told me that I don't care about none of y'all who bullying me, because when I become older, I'm gonna be popping. Like, literally, I would tell myself that. Like, so there was some inner confidence, and now I know that it was God, the whole time. But then I didn't know none of that. I'm just thinking like, y'all gonna be sorry, and which now they are. But yeah, so I was just motivating myself through that. So when I get to high school, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, which is like small town. Well, it's not super small, but it's a small city. It's not as big as Atlanta. I moved here when I went to high school. So it's a whole different speed, y'all. Like, I didn't know what sex was until I came to Atlanta, like first week. Like, I was that, like,
How old were
sheltered.
you when you came
I was
to Atlanta?
14. I didn't know what sex was. And so I come here and it's like super fast. My friends, my new friends telling me I've been having sex since 11. I just learned what it was today. What? So in high school, I started to kind of come into my own because boys started to notice me.
Okay.
So seniors will come up to me and be like, when you get to be a senior, you're going to be right. And I never understood what that meant.
Well, I was just about to say, what do you think? What do you...
Like, what? I'm not right now. Like,
right. And
what
then
are you
what
trying
is
to say?
there?
Is that a
Right.
backhanded compliment, sir? So I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. So I end up joining like the dance team. I wasn't like super popular, but people knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm in there. I don't have like a boyfriend or anything, but I feel pretty. Like, I love myself. I was a virgin throughout high school, and I'm just like, I'm feeling myself. I feel like I'm high.
They can't hear you. I don't know if that matters.
It does. It does matter.
Pause, please. Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you for letting us know. Technical difficulties. Pause. I'm glad you can see because I can't.
They said that they...
sound is horrible. I'm sorry, you guys. Can y'all hear me now? I don't know. I think I know. Maybe it's the If we don't have technical difficulties, that means. Hold on, let me make sure.
So while Ashley is going away and working on our technical difficulties, we were here for everybody who's still here and can still hear us. We're fixing it. We promise. We're fixing it. I don't know if you could read my lips, but we are fixing it. Thank you.
It's still connected to
Oh. See, what happened was when we were getting ready to do this, Ashley was playing some music, so our speaker was connected to Bluetooth, which is
can you hear me now?
in a different room. And so now
I'm gonna edit all that out.
Let us know if you can still hear us, if it's better.
Can you hear me now?
Comment in the comment section if you can hear us.
Let me know, because you can see I can't. Yes. Thank
Yay!
you.
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you for letting us know. Thank you for bearing with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
What
we got
saying?
that.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry it took me so long.
Appreciate your honesty.
Listen, y'all. Let me tell you something. If everything goes right, unfortunately, that's a sign that this show ain't good. But when everything starts going wrong, that's a sign to me that it's going to be amazing, because people need to hear it. And the enemy always trying to throw a monkey wrench in my plan and in my goals.
Yes.
But for the people who did not hear it on live, we're recording on here too. So when I put it out on like Spotify, Apple podcasts, and every other podcast, you'll be able to hear the beginning. So again, I apologize. Thank you for sticking with me and letting me know. All right.
You're the real MVP.
I forgot what I was saying.
You were talking about self-love. You were 14.
Yes.
And just in Atlanta. To recap, for those who haven't heard or have had issues hearing, we were here and Ashley was giving us the definition of self-love.
They're going to just redo it.
And
we're re-recording.
I know, but I'm just giving abreast of what's happening now. So
we
now
just
here we are.
run it back. Yeah. So, all right. Back to my self-love journey. So high school, I was a virgin throughout high school. I felt great about that. And I didn't have a boyfriend in high school at all until I lost my virginity the summer going into college. And I lost my virginity to a guy who cheated on me during the summer going into college. So that really depleted my self-love, because I felt like it was kind of like me feeling like I needed to prove to myself that I could be chosen, if that makes sense. So I started to chase the gratification of getting men to like me. So I started to date a lot. Like, I was wilding in college, okay? Like, I jumped out the fence. I was just like, woo! So my self-love was external, meaning that I was using men to validate me. And if a man validated me and chose me, that told me that I could love myself, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So that's when it kind of started to spiral, because unfortunately, growing up, unless we have are in a household that tells you what self-love is, how to love yourself, and just how to be confident, you just get thrown to the wolves and you listen to society, and society is mad ghetto. Like,
trash.
if you listening to society, oh God, like it's going to tell you that you shouldn't love yourself because your body don't look like this, or you don't have as much money as this person, or you're not as popular as this person. So you have to know. But because I was super green, it was the blind leading the blind, I did not know. So my self-love, of course, depending on men to validate you and to love yourself, you are in for a major failure and depletion of self-love, because men never cease to disappoint me. So of course my self-love was depleted by the time I was in like my mid-20s. So I just felt like I found myself always changing my appearance because, and these are signs that your self-love may be a little bit low. I found myself always trying to change my appearance to look like the quote unquote it girls, because I felt like if I looked a certain way, dressed a certain way, wore my hair a certain way, then I would be chosen.
And you always look good.
I know, because I chose correctly, but at the same time, it wasn't who I was. Mm-hmm. I didn't have an identity. I was kind of just floating to like fit in or whatever. And I kept jumping into situations that were not good for my well-being at all. Like just really disgusting, ugly patterns of dating, really disrespecting myself, honestly, with the people I was choosing, drinking crazy, you know, having sex with people who don't deserve to have sex with me, like just all of these things. And one day I stopped and was like, Jesus, you are not happy. You are not happy. I got tired of myself. I'm tired of you, girl. It's what I told myself. So from then on, that's when I started studying to get my degree in psychology. And when you get your degree in psychology, you're going to start, you have no choice but to get a PhD in yourself, because you're going to start asking yourself questions. And then I got into therapy as well. So that's when I started to develop strategies on self-love. So that's a little bit about my journey, but it was an ugly journey because I had to become fully broken in order to be put back together. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's like a whole autobiography, I feel like. It just now.
I mean, you can skip around.
Yeah, it wasn't that long, but my thing about my journey to self-love rather was, it took me a long time to realize that I didn't have it. I am different from Ashley on the other side of that coin. I grew up with two parents in the house, very loving, parents still married. Father's excellent, had that, position in my life, and everything was great. And so I know it sounds so weird to because everybody's like, oh, you have like daddy issues because you don't whatever. I don't know, that's why people sound like that, but they do in my head. But
that's what they sound
like. I've never seen my parents date. They were always married. Mm-hmm. People who were in my family, like uncles and aunts and stuff, they were always married. I never saw them dating. They weren't talking about dating. Like, and if there was like a single person, it was just like, oh, hey, everybody, this is the family. This is the person I'm dating. And now we're married. So it was always just one person in the marriage, or just marriage. Mm-hmm. There wasn't like, let's choose or have the conversation to, this is how you go about choosing a spouse. Because, like, times were different, and parents and kids didn't really like have those kind of conversations about dating as they openly would now. And so I just always thought whoever I liked, I'm like, I wasn't into this type of guy or this type of guy or whatever.
She was never into bad boys.
I was never into bad boys.
So I'm sorry, I have to say this because any man watching this, I hate that men be like, oh, all women like bad boys. Not every woman goes through that phase.
Right.
Like I'm sitting next to one. She never went through that phase.
I did it. And like, I didn't like guys who smoked. I didn't like guys who were like mean or whatever. So when I finally started to like, in my brain, I guess, like someone and have them like me, to the point of dating, because it just was not on my timeline. I felt like, oh, well, this is the person, I like them, they like me, so obviously this is the person that I'm going to marry. And if they did not like if we had a falling out because I then didn't realize that they were a trash individual, I thought the problem was me, because it's like, oh, well, now I need to overcompensate and to do something to make them like me. So I need to be more giving of them. I need to be more, I mean, not giving of them. I need to give myself to them more. I need to find out what they like. I need to basically be all and everything for them. Mind you, it didn't matter if they hurt me, hurt my feelings, disrespected me, didn't care about seeing me, didn't care about my time. I had to go and just do whatever I needed to do in order to keep them, because I was like, this has to work. My parents are still married and they worked. Mind you, I did not have a conversation with my parents about how they got together and figure out all of this stuff. And then
blind leading the blind.
Blind leading the blind. So that ended up, and the funny part about it is that it was just a situationship. It never actually turned into me being their girlfriend. The words, will you be my girlfriend? You are my girlfriend, never actually physically came out of their mouth. I never had a boyfriend. Yeah, so it was all situationships.
I'm saying wow, because we are in a culture that will literally give their all to a person they're not with.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many people have experienced that. And I'm saying wow, because I know you're connecting, like you're hitting someone right in their heart right now.
I'm telling you, like, listen, this is the moment that you came for. I know we were having technical difficulties, but this is the moment that you came for. If you don't know that you are in a situationship, here are the signs to let you know. Okay? Stay with me. I have been in plenty of them. I am about to free you on today.
Let's do it.
So if you and the person that if you and the person that you like or are talking to have spent multiple times, let's say from at least like 2 weeks to any other time beside that, you talk all the time, you express interest in one another, you like, hey, want to hang out with the movies? Hey, want to do this? Hey, want to do that? Hey, want to do that? You're constantly making the effort to include them in your life, to make plans in your life, but you have never had never had the conversation, what are we? You're in a situationship. If the answer is met with, I'm just trying to figure out where this leads. I just, I don't want to put labels on nothing. I just want to vibe. I just want to flow. I just want to see where this thing goes. Yes, they will be in here rhyming to you, okay? It's happened to me. Because that's how it sounds. So if had heard anything like that, you're in a situationship, they're like, no, I don't want to lose you. You're special to me. There's no one like you. You don't know how awesome of a woman that you are. And that is true. You are an awesome woman. They will not treat you like it, but they recognize that you are awesome. Okay. And like, you're just awesome, and I love your energy and your vibe. I never met anyone like you before. That's it. That's the red flag. Where's my red? And this is me waving my red flag. And never met someone like you. That is also true, but they will not gonna treat you like that. So all of this saying in a situationship is that they want all of your time and energy and efforts. They are not going to give you
nothing,
anything.
No title.
They might once every 4 weeks pop up to make you feel like, oh yeah, I'm still interested in you. Oh yeah, you still got my attention. Oh yeah, but if you're like, hey, how about we go here? No, I can't. I gotta like lace up my shoes. Hey, how about we go out to dinner? No, I can't. Like,
I gotta mop the parking lot.
It's up to me. Like, you think these streets gonna get clean because of rain? No. These are signs to let you know that you're in a situationship. And some of the times, like for myself, it will last years. And that doesn't mean that your feelings aren't real. It doesn't mean that you haven't invested emotional time into that person. It just means they don't care about you enough to be committed to you. And they have 1 foot outside of the door, technically like a foot and a half outside of the door, because they're not trying to put work in for you. They will do it for somebody else. So if you're in a situationship for 2 years and then y'all finally end it and he's in another relationship 2 hours from now, it's with you.
2 hours.
2 hours to a day.
But I do want to give some clarity, because a lot of women feel like they can be a great person, like kind of like, I can earn him. I can work hard enough for him to see me. If he don't see you in the beginning as you are right now, when you bring yourself to the relationship, he's never going to see you.
He's never going to see it. And that's In a roundabout show. The answer to my question, because I have done all of those things, have given all of myself to men who didn't deserve it, who saw that I was great woman potential, wifey potential. I am those things. They just were not going to be what I needed.
They were going to be what you needed, but also we have to understand what men. A lot of people, men, I say men, a lot of people be like, why you don't say women? Baby, my blog is called Single Woman Chronicles. My audience is women. It's in the name. So that's why I talk about men, because I've been here and I get it, and I'm trying to free you, because if I can free you out of something that I know is unhealthy for you, then we can start to love ourselves. Then we can start to build self-worth. Then we can start to build a sense of self. Then we can start to build happiness.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of the times, women, we question ourselves, when in reality, men will say they want one thing, but really they don't. But they're unaware of what they actually want. So in theory, me, Ashley, I am this wonderful, great person, but I require effort and I require a lot of discipline because I am celibate. Okay. I'm not having sex with you. All right. So in theory, it sounds great to date me until you get horny and I'm not giving you what you need. So you no longer want to date me because I'm not giving you what you said you wanted in the beginning.
And they will test
that
you.
Is not a me thing. That's a you thing. I told you up front.
And that's the thing that you have to realize when people say, I'm not going to have sex. And they're like, guys will sometimes be like, and I'm speaking from the examples that I know, men, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. I don't know why guys sound like this, but lame dudes just sound like this in my head. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm down. Like, that's cool. Yeah, I respect that. Come 2 weeks, 2 months, and y'all still in this thing, and he realizes, oh, you were serious about that?
Yeah.
You weren't kidding.
But even aside from sex and celibacy, if you're not that, and that is okay, because again, the reason I chose it was because I had an unhealthy relationship with sex. Some people have a healthy relationship, but say for example, you're the type of woman, you're like, I'm not dealing with cheating. Cheating is a deal breaker for me. That's a non-negotiable. If you're dating a man who says, oh, that's cool, I don't cheat, but he looks at cheating as just physical sex, but all the while he's entertaining women, he's flirting, he's going out on dates with women, but his excuse
texting, DMs.
Right, his excuse is, oh, well, I ain't had sex, so I didn't cheat on you. What? He will actually flip it on you and make you feel like you did something wrong, because
or make you feel like the crazy
right, the crazy person, when he's going to pick another woman who's more accepting of that behavior, because it's harder to be with you because you require something more. You require effort. You require him to be faithful. You require him to do the work.
Somebody said, but I never picked a compatible person. Listen, let me tell you something. Me either. Okay. Nor have I.
Listen. There's this TikTok and this girl, she gets me. I felt seen. She said, I always very carefully pick the wrong nigga. Listen, me too, sis. Me too. But we'll get back to that. I want to do another episode about unlearning your type, because I feel like a lot of times the reason we don't pick compatible partners because we have this twisted type that we developed because we thought that's what we wanted and needed, but in actuality it's not.
I'm laughing because I had a trash type.
Your type is like
my type was.
Your type was like
we'll get into that next time. Save some for the people. Save some for the people.
It's like tofu dipped in Miracle Whip.
With like tar on top.
Yeah. My type was worse. My type was like
oh God.
If you step in dog poop and then you dip your foot in sewer water and you lift it up.
And then it dries. While still on your foot.
Yeah.
That's actually.
And you go get in the bed with that. And you lay there. That was my type.
Yeah. She's no life told.
So yeah, but back to self-love. We done jumped in a whole nother range, but yeah, nope, stop looking at them questions. Go back to your self-love journey. So I was saying, you were investing, overcompensating.
I was investing, overcompensating, and they were always coming out with the same result. I would be drained, emotional, heartbroken at the fact that another year went around and I didn't have a boyfriend. Another year went around, I didn't have anyone to celebrate or really care or like want to be in a relationship with me. And even though that they were different individuals, they all ended up being the same. And I was like, at some point, I had to realize what the common denominator was, and that was me. Ooh, self-awareness, big part of self-love.
We're gonna give tips. We're gonna give tips. We're gonna go there. We're going there.
And so longer story short, eventually came around to therapy. How and why is for a different episode. I came around to therapy, which I love. Honestly, I know everybody doesn't have the access to therapy, but everybody needs therapy. Everybody.
Honestly, now you have options like BetterHelp, which
but
is
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Therapy
they really should sponsor me.
is
Somebody tell them to sponsor
books.
me.
Therapy is a therapist.
Yeah,
therapy
you can read books, amazing books.
Is blogs, is
journaling,
is YouTube, you know, different sermons. Like that's still therapy for their soul. It doesn't actually mean having to go into a doctor's office and talk to somebody.
I would suggest.
I love it. That's my journey, but there are different ways and different things to access how to be healthier. And while I was in therapy, just realizing all the things that happened is that I didn't think that I had any value. I was great. I was beautiful, you know, checked all the boxes. It was like, yeah, I come from a great family. Yes, I'm educated and I speak well and da 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 da. But I just didn't think that I was deserving of like people that I wanted, you know, like I just thought I should be I should accept whatever came my way and really work towards that, and that was not the case. And so therapy helped me to raise the bar within my own self to realize the issues that I had, my picking issues, because Lord knows I can pick them wrong
very carefully.
I used to pick them
very carefully
wrong. I have since moved on and evolved, praise God. But to realize that. And so now in my self-love journey, it is about wholeness. It is about wellness. It is about being complete for myself. That means introspection. That means how do I analyze? That means how do I communicate? How do I communicate that somebody has hurt me and I don't like that? How do I communicate boundaries? Because that's a part of self-love too, is setting up boundaries. No, you're not going to be able to treat me like this. No, you're not going to be able to talk to me like this. Where in the past, I used to do that and I felt that way and accepted it or just hoarded it all inside. I don't know if hoarded it is a word, whatever.
It's a word. It is.
Or just kept it all inside and just was like this ticking time bomb that wanted to explode. And that doesn't serve anybody any purpose at all, because then you're still taking that with you, whether you're in a relationship or not. And you're still going to keep that in you as a single person regardless. So I had to learn how to talk to myself, forgive myself of what I did know and didn't do better, of what I did know and or what I didn't know. Did know, forgive myself regardless. Both of them, honestly.
Both of them. Because sometimes we know better, but we still choose to do the opposite because of comfort.
Right. And
default reaction.
And denial. And denial is a big one. Let's talk about it. This is a big one. Yes, I know I saw red flags, but maybe they're like,
it was Six Flags.
You know, like a magenta kind of color. They're not red per se. You know, that's what I'm saying. I'm at a football game. Red flags everywhere. So that was really important to me. I hope this is making sense. That is just learning about me as a person. And I feel like self-love happened when I forgave myself and admitted a lot of things to myself and became aware of myself and wanted better for myself and started choosing better for myself and also stayed with myself a little bit, you know, like let's spend some time with Brittany and just
I didn't
figure that out.
About the tips because we're gonna get to the tips, but
that's my story.
I do want to ask you because it sounds like I just had an epiphany. It sounds like the check engine light on our self-love was attached to men, meaning that it took us to get rock bottom in a relationship for us to say, maybe I don't like myself. Maybe I don't love myself. Would you agree?
Yeah, it sounds
That's not
that
everyone's
way.
check engine light,
Right.
but that was kind of what it sounds like. When was the moment when you were like, yeah, I can't. I know I don't.
Something happened to me that brought me to therapy, and I was like, if I don't go to therapy, I don't know I don't know where I'm gonna end up, and I mean that like mentally, physically. I don't know what there was a darkness that was coming for me if I didn't figure that out, and I probably physically wouldn't be here, or spiritually be here, or mentally be the person that I am today. So I can't really say like physically what was the moment. It was just like after you get knocked down so many times.
You was tired.
I tired, yes, but I mean, and that sounds so like general, but it's just like my soul can't anymore. And a lot of things happen on the other side when your soul can't, because then you invite a whole different party of demons to come hang out with you. And I was like, my soul can't. And if I don't get help, I don't know who I'm going to be.
That's beautiful. Because that's a crossroad. Because a lot of people.
Although we've come.
Okay.
It's right. End of the road, not crossroads.
You at the crossroads.
There it is.
Because a lot of people, when they get to that point, they don't choose self-love. A lot of them choose drugs. They choose
or other
drinking.
Vices.
They choose sex. They choose to marry somebody, to thinking that that's going to be the cure to happiness. They choose all these external things trying to build a self-love, but the key to self-love is self. If you can't love yourself by yourself, then it ain't self-love. So, what was the hardest part of your self-love journey?
You go first. I went first last time.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go first. Because my validation was, and my self-love meter was measured by men and their attention. Cutting myself off from dating 100% cold turkey was the hardest thing for me. To be 100% single. Like, I reached YouTube. Oh God, look at this. Just so many technical difficulties. But I reached a level of I have reached a level of single that many people may never accomplish. Meaning that level of single where you ain't got nobody hitting your phone, you ain't got nobody in your phone to text, to holler at you.
I've been there before you.
I'm not talking about you.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about me, because that was my thing.
Got you. Continue.
That was my thing. Like, if I felt down, if I felt unhappy, I would text the guy and be like, "Hey, what's up, show?" Like, so the hardest, most uncomfortable part for me was disengaging and fighting through that, because it's hard to remember, because it's been such a long, like, I'm on the other end, like I'm on the healed side. But I do recall moments where I would sit by myself, but I was so unhappy and I had so much anxiety just sitting alone and being by myself that I would have to go take a drive, or I would have to take a walk with my dog. I would just sit and cry for like hours because it was so excruciating being by myself. Just being alone. It was hard. But I knew that for my own well-being, I had to develop the muscle to be by myself, because if I didn't, I would never establish the self-love needed in order to be in a healthy and a happy relationship. So that was the hardest part for me, just being alone, learning how to be by myself. God, that was hard.
Let me tell you something. I am the complete opposite of Ashley. Okay,
she is.
I love being by myself. I prefer it. It is my first choice.
It.
Okay, being alone, I love this.
She's an introvert.
Quarantine was good to me. What? No, I don't have no place to be. Y'all sending me checks at the house. Oh, this is nice. What? Me and nobody were getting along fabulously.
Nobody.
It was great. I loved it. Even in therapy, they talking about, be by yourself and just sit with yourself. Sit. I can sit. I'm saying that. I loved it. It was great. But I'm saying that for people who are like, no, because my thing was like, I had a issue of perfectionism. And it was like, oh, well, I don't drink. And oh, well, I don't smoke, or I don't go out, and I don't do this. And I didn't present that as like, I'm better to you, whoever that was. But in my mind, my psyche was just like, well, yeah, I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that. But I'm still in the same position as you are. I'm still in the same like hurt, desperate, depraved place that you are. And so I don't want people to think that like, oh, well, I don't have a problem like sitting by myself. That's not me. That's not my issue. That's cool. That's fine.
She preaches so good. I got music in my head. It's just
but like... my biggest issue was like, this is cyclical. Like the going through the cycle of healing and growing is like, we doing this again?
We got something else.
Sad again? Can I just...
We did that already. We did that already.
Why? Here's the thing. If I'm sad and I get better, why am I sad again? I should be sad and better, and that's it. That's the end of the sentence. Period. That's what this, you know what I'm saying? Why do I have to go through these cycles, going in circles? Like
Marcus Houston.
Like Marcus Houston.
What are we doing?
I'm not about to, for what? And so and so every time I thought that like I was sad and I got better, I was like, yeah, I'm better. And then something else came under that, I would start beating myself up like, dang, I'm just no good. Dang, I can't get better. Dang, I can't. I'll never get through this. I'll never be better. No one's ever going to love me. I'm never going to be in a relationship. I'm not good. I'm not as good as I thought I was. I'm maybe, I deserve to be by myself and to be alone and all this other stuff. So I had a really bad way of speaking to myself in my mind. I had a very, 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 very big negative talk. I was good for you to understand, telling somebody who was trying to, trying to sympathize with me. Because like, see, that's how we were talking to Ashley. It's like, oh, I don't do this or whatever. So I say, well, I don't date a lot, or I don't text guys a lot, or I don't do this a lot. Meaning, and then she's like, oh, but I get the fact of trying to grow. No, you don't understand.
Y'all, listen, we real best friends. You don't understand. That statement almost ended our friendship. She's gonna hit me with a one. You don't understand one more again. It was gonna be like that gift. Lie again. Lie again. Lie again.
So that was the thing for me, is just learning how to give myself grace to feel how I feel and move through it and be okay. Learning how to understand that feeling. My therapist said that feeling. Even if you feel negative emotions, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You can acknowledge them and you can accept them. You just don't stay there. And I think that was my problem, is like, if I'm feeling something bad, something has to be wrong, and it's worse, and I should be over this by now, and it's just getting in the way, blah, blah, blah. And so that would just make it worse. And so that's just gonna affect how if it's starting with me and that's the way I'm thinking in my mind, that's going to affect the relationships that I carry on with anybody else, with my friendships and my family relationships and romantic relationships. I'm just like, oh gosh, like, you're great. And I'm having a bad feeling. So it must be something that I'm doing and all of that. So I think the hardest part for me was just going through this cycle and healing a journey and understanding it along the way. Because
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's why self-love is ugly, because it's never ending. People always talk about obtaining, but maintaining is just as hard as obtaining. When you get here, you have to maintain it. When you get to a level of self-love and you like, woo, I'm here, something in your life gonna come and test you. Then something else gonna come test you. Then you're gonna have a bad day. And then, you're gonna have those feelings where you, like she said, you're gonna feel like, we aren't done. I'm not like, the thing is, in life, you're going to be growing forever. And it's just, there's no arrival.
For sure.
Like, there's literally no arrival.
And so what she's like, also maintaining, I think it's important to say maintaining at different levels, because when you get to the point where you've like, okay, because now you're like, okay, I'm good. I can sit by myself. I can enjoy me. I can go through my cycles or have a bad day and realize it's not the end of the world. I'm maintaining that. But then also, when you conquer that, there's going to be another level hurdle to go through and to be on top of. So it's not like I'm just maintaining at level A and the rest of my life till the end of my life is
Nope.
going to be level A. It's like, cool, we conquered level A, we got through that. Here comes level B and level B plus, and then level C plus, and then squared, and then level D plus minus squared to the third power, and all those other things.
Oh
you know, find the root of F. You know,
get the derivative.
So there's always that, and learning that at different levels, and that's what self-love is taking yourself on to those levels and taking yourself onto to that journey consistently and throughout.
Yeah, because you be wanting to quit. It's moments where you're like, bruh, I've conquered all this. I'm not there yet. Why? Listen, I don't even want to be a better person no more. Today we're not being better. Today we petty. Today we choose petty.
Right.
Tomorrow I choose better.
Listen, I know they said if you have faith as a mustard seed, and a mustard seed is like tiny, like that big. I was like, I got half of it today.
No, I be saying I got the faith of an eyelash today. Work with an eyelash. Work with this lash.
Sometimes it's half a lash.
Something.
Some days it's just like, I got half a lash. Half a mustard seed. I know it's small, but it's smaller. And not even like, I don't know how I feel today. Don't ask me about the day. Ask me in an hour how I feel. And we just gonna get to the next hour, and we'll start over again, and we'll try something different. But
so I do want to kick off. Well, Brittany said a few, but I wanted to just give you tips on cultivating self-love in yourself today. You can start doing this right now, with the therapist, without one. I always suggest one because a lot of people think that therapy is just you venting your feelings, but no, therapists give you a strategy, a plan of action, so you can actually move towards your goals. So, and they can dig up things and they can see things you don't see.
I also wanted to jump on that. I saw this cartoon clip that explained therapy in the most perfect way, I feel like. And it was this person sitting on a couch, and there was like a thought bubble above their head, and it had like a yellow piece of yarn, a blue piece of yarn, and a red piece of yarn. And the yarn was all like tangled up into colors. And then over the therapist's head was the same box with the same yarn colors. And it just made them line out in like each thought. So like, while we have all these jumbling things in our mind, and the therapist just kind of like lays them out. So you could see like some of your issues really aren't self-inflicted, or some of the things that you go through really are well-deserving. Is just people making you feel like you're crazy, and you have every right to feel how you feel. And like we said, therapy isn't just talking to somebody. It is books, it is sermons, it is blog posts, it is a healthy way of figuring out things, because YouTube has plenty of stuff. Google
free stuff, man.
Great books. Great
free. So tip number one, Brittany mentioned it, is awareness. Awareness is so necessary. Just being able to identify your triggers, your sadness, your agitation, and identify like what replenishes you, what makes you feel drained. And the best way to do that is journaling. Like literally getting a journal, and when you have moments where you feel drained, where you feel your confidence is lacking, where you just feel like I can't do it today, I'm not motivated, like ask yourself, what is this? What happened? What did I watch on TV? What conversations did I have? Who was I around? What made me feel this way? Document those things. And then once you start documenting them, you'll start to notice patterns. Like, okay, I realize when I do this, then this happens. So for me, for example, I'm a like workaholic a little bit. I'm a multitasker at like, I have to multitask or like life isn't meaningful. So like when I'm exhausted, I can't make emotional decisions because I will feel drained, and I will feel overwhelmed and overworked, and I'll spaz and I'll overanalyze things, I'll overthink things. So I know that about myself. So when I'm overworked or when I'm tired, I'll say, you know what, Ash, you feel emotional because you're tired. You just need naps. You just need some naps. So I know that exactly on the boat. So I know that when that happens, I need to just take a moment. So that's what I mean by identifying your triggers. And so when you keep this self-love journey, the stuff that makes you feel replenished. For me, just sitting down and watching, I love TV shows and whatever, like sitting down and just chilling, just sitting down, literally. Like if I just get a day off and replenish, I'm straight. So that's one thing. And like being able to just go out and just, you know, go to a movie or something like that, or a Taco Tuesday. That's me. I'm all in. So yeah. Tip number 2 is, I mean, pretty self-explanatory, but eliminate the things that interrupt your happiness and increase the things that bring you happiness. So if the person, place, or thing is interrupting your happiness and causing a monkey wrench in your self-love and your well-being, then you need to identify that or limit communication with that or just eliminate that thing fully. And the thing that you find that, okay, this brings me happiness and joy, increase that.
Or also set boundaries with those things. Because sometimes I mean, I'm good for like, okay, I no longer need that person in my life. But that's not good to just cut everybody out.
Is it?
But it isn't. This is coming from me, okay? But also to learn, like, sometimes even in our relationship, to have a conversation of like setting boundaries. Like, that's who I was, but I'm no longer this person. I would respect it if you did X, Y, and Z. Or how can I best serve you? Because sometimes it's not about cutting out the person. Sometimes it is, because I know y'all, we want to hold on to them toxic relationships. We're gonna get on that later.
Right.
But wanting to establish boundaries with how people speak to you, treat you, and also how you do it back to them. Because you know, if you don't tell somebody, don't yell at me, but you yelling at them, don't yell at me. You know, like, just calm down. I'm not gonna stay here. If you're yelling at me, we could talk about this later. I'm gonna need a minute, something else, and then go away, come back, keep peaceful. So that's also a part of it. Sometimes it's not the elimination, it's just setting boundaries.
And a good example of a boundary is in our relationship, as you can see from this podcast, we are very different. We are opposite, like, in a lot of things.
I don't know how we're friends.
Upbringing, how we act. She's an introvert. I'm really like an omnivert, but I'm more extroverted than that. But I do need my time alone to like replenish. That's why I leave parties first. But
I feel like that you've gotten more introvert.
I've gotten more introverts.
Because when we first met,
I was out here. I was out here in these streets. I was the party chick.
Queen extrovert.
But one great way we set boundaries was, I feel like we all have defaults on how we give our friends advice. But sometimes your friend don't want advice. They just want you to listen. So a great thing that we do in our friendship is when like, say she tells me something, before I respond, I'm going to ask, what do you need from me? Do you need me to just be a support? Do you need me to give you advice? Or do you just need me to listen? Because that is so important, because like she said, you don't have to cut everybody off. Some people are important, but if you're not, people can't read your mind. You got to tell them what you need. And that's why a lot of needs aren't being met, not necessarily because people don't want to meet them, but people don't know how to meet them. You have to tell them. So yes, boundaries is great. 3, affirm yourself by writing affirmations and replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. So one of my biggest things was, because I've struggled with abandonment issues from my dad leaving, I used to always tell myself, she can attest to this, that I'm going to die alone. And I would make a joke out of it, but I honestly believe that. So now when that thought comes in my head, I say, you're not dying alone. You're going to get somebody's son, and somebody's son going to like it, like my hat say, and period. Also, shameless plug, hats are available for pre-order right now. They say somebody's son going to like it because duh. But anyway, yeah, so I replaced that negative thought with a positive thought, because in order to reframe your brain and reframe your thoughts, you have to retrain it to think another thing, because your thoughts, if you let them just do what they do, they're going to do what they do. They're going to do the default. So if you are a negative thinker, you have to replace that thought with a good one.
They're going to do what they do and ruin you.
Exactly. If your thought in your head, you like, I'm fat and I'm unattractive, you got to be like, no, you the baddest shit walking this earth. And you might be flawed, but that booty big though. Like, so you have to replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. And number 4 is challenge yourself to fall in love with your flaws. We all have things we don't like about ourselves.
I think that's where I'm at right now.
See, isn't it beautiful?
It is.
So, me growing up, I've always been shaped with a part of the itty bitty titty committee. And so I used to like think about getting like a boob job and like just like really doing that, because I was just so insecure about my breasts. But then once I started, when I got in my late 20s, I started to like really look at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, although I don't like my small boobs, like there's nothing wrong with them. Like, it's not wrong with people who get plastic surgery at all. Like, do what you want that's going to make you happy. But I know for me, I wanted to fall in love with that thing that I felt was a flaw to me. So I'm looking in the mirror like, listen, we cool, because I learned to embrace the thing that was great about them. The fact that I don't have to wear bras. I don't like bras. If I had big boobs, I would have to wear bras. I don't want to do that. So I learned to fall in love with that thing, because it was like, okay, that's cool. That's not bad. We good. So yeah.
I know a lot of the things for women is usually, it's not always usually, but a big part of it is physical appearance. And your body knows the energy that you're putting out. That comes from me too. I grew up and I was like bigger and chunky, and I held on to that energy till probably maybe like a couple of months ago.
I was gonna say 2 weeks ago.
I was gonna say 2 weeks too, but I was like, let me not. And so, I mean, even at the point where I was my smallest, I mean, I'm talking
she
about,
was a lollipop. She was skinny and her head was real big. Like
4
she was
days
over.
a week at CrossFit for like 2 years. 4 days a week at CrossFit. Anybody who's done like one class of CrossFit know that that's insane. And I was tiny. And looking back on pictures then, I was tiny. I was almost fitting into I was like on the border of a size 4, size 2. Jesus. I am not that now. Never. But when I was in the other size, but even at a 4 and a size 2, which I had never been in my life before, the smallest I've ever been, even in high school, I was never that size. I was always, bigger. I was like, I couldn't see myself different. I still saw myself through the lens of something else. And I wondered at a time if I had body dysmorphia. And that's where you just see your body image in a different way in your mind. And I would speak so negatively about it. I had so many health problems that were attached to my mind. No, not psychosis. No, not like needing to be lobotomized or anything like that. But just how you speak to yourself, how you speak to your
Y'all can
body.
Google lobotomized, because she really be throwing words out. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? I really be needing a dictionary around her. It'd be crazy. But keep going.
And so like it's not and it wasn't until like I realized the source of why I was speaking to myself negatively that I addressed it and forgave myself and started to accept and speak love into myself. There's like, regardless of whatever shape, regardless of whatever my body is, I'm going to love her. Even if I have to love her in faith, I'm going to say, I love you and I appreciate you for getting me here and for surviving and being at the place where we are. And because this is the body that I'm going to have till I am called to glory many decades from now. And this is what's going to be taking me to my journey, through my success, through my life. And I have to treat her with love and respect. And so that changed a lot for me. And I think changed a lot about my personality too when I started doing it.
Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. Last thing I forgot to mention, your circle is very important. Your circle is very, very important. I don't know if y'all, I'm not gonna put no spoilers out there, but y'all better watch the show True Story on Netflix with Kevin Hart and Wesley, because your circle is very important. But your circle is important because if you have friends or people around you who do like little backhanded compliments, or who like, if you're trying to change, say you're trying not to go out as much as you used to, if you're trying not to date, but they're steady bringing you out, steady putting you in an environment where you're trying to avoid, you're not going to be able to do that. You need people around you who support your mission, even if they're not physically doing the mission with you, but they're holding you accountable. They're checking in. They're creating a safe space for you to come to their events. Like if they got drinks at the party, they're like, oh, here's a sparkling cider, so you feel included. Like you don't want nobody handing you a shot when you're like, I'm not trying to drink no more. You don't want nobody bringing you around dudes when you're telling them I'm not trying to date. What you doing? You know what I mean? So your circle is so freaking important. So surround yourself with people who support you, who love you, because
genuinely,
because really, sometimes you can have those people who they can be praying for you on the side. They can be rooting for you so hard that you start loving yourself just off the love they got for you. Like that love is like, you like, dang, they love me more than I love me. Something wrong with that. Something is wrong with that.
But also there's a point in time, because we all go through it, when we do reach rock bottom, when we do go through things where you're like, I can't, either I can't pray for myself, I can't think positively about myself, I forgot every great, amazing thing I'm capable of have done. And your friends come in, or your people come in, they're like, don't you realize that you like, you did this, you did that, you have this ability, you have that ability. They're pouring into into you and speaking life into you when you are drained and when you can't and when you forgot yourself. Because I mean, that's it. Just keep living. If you've never gone through it, keep living. It'll happen. I'm not trying to speak this into your life. I'm just saying life be lifing, and it will find you, and you'll understand this in good time.
This is what
they're going to talk about. Right. This podcast is going to end so great. It's going to age so great.
Yeah.
But
it's evergreen.
Evergreen. And so it's just also important to know how to have those people speak in a positive way. And so if you have people right now that when you're good and when you're thriving, they're still like, oh, you think you somebody now? Oh, I don't really know you. Oh, you brand new now.
This is my favorite one. How your little project doing?
Your little anything. My little what? My little what?
That is the biggest pet peeve. When people do that little thing, boy, I be wanting to fight.
Like high key shows you who they are and what they think about your project.
Okay, I won't tell you no, won't invite you nowhere. We good.
Definitely.
You block.
Definitely. So it's very important to pay attention to that.
Yes. Well, that is it on self-love is ugly. Unfortunately, TikTok, my phone is going dead. So we're gonna do another podcast right after this. We're gonna double up, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be live for that. But we're gonna see.
Thanks for having me, TikTok. This was my first time being on live and on TikTok.
And her first time being on this
here thing.
But all right, we're transitioning.